There you go. Hi, this is Blue Sky Videos going live in a great opportunity to meet Roch Tranel, and this is BSVP on site. So are you networking and meeting a lot of people and not really realizing how to expand that networking opportunities? Today we've got the author of The Friend Economy, and we're talking about how to move that from real world into a virtual world. So let's get into the show. Hi, Roch.
Morning, Bruce. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing day.
Yeah, that is actually, I think that is one of your key greetings, as well as how can I make your day better?
How can we make your day amazing? That's exactly right.
And so we're going to actually help you make your day amazing with this conversation for the next 30 minutes. And so we talk about networking. A lot of people are networking virtually now, and they're not really getting much out of it. They're just kind of maybe attending a Zoom meeting, and then they go off to their daily activities. The way this kind of got started was with a group that you organized at your facility, and we eventually called it Freedom One. So let's talk about that for the beginning and how we first actually met, because that's how we met, through Freedom One, even though we've kind of worked into the same circles over a while.
Yeah. You know, it's actually Freedom One started 6 years ago. It started with Norm Roth, Desmond Clark, and myself. And the whole idea was just to create a community of sales-minded people, growth-oriented people, create an environment where it was okay to talk about being wildly successful, serving people well, not at the expense of people, but serving people really, really well. And Norm Roth and Des Clark and myself are all really hyper growth oriented folks. And so Freedom One it's evolved over the years and evolved to virtual now. And I'm sure Bruce will talk about that going forward, but we've just built a community. At one point, I was thinking about this preparing for the show, Bruce. We had a limousine service bring people from the park across the way, because our parking lot wouldn't hold how many people were here. Our team, when they came in the morning, had to park in the fire station next door there. So we've had over 100 people at our networking group when it was at its all-time height of it. And obviously COVID and things have changed things, but we're excited to be here today and talk about networking and growing your business. It's just as important today as it was in 2014 when we started the group.
Yeah, a couple of things. First, I want to address who Norm Roth is and Des Clark. Norm Roth is a sales leader. He was VP of large organizations, head of sales there. And Des Clark was with the Chicago Bears.
He's a tight end, yeah. Yeah, he's got a very successful business today. He's an author, a speaker. He's in the financial services world and very, very successful. But he was a part of our early years.
Yep, and we had Norm on our show a few months ago. And then, so as far as growing the Freedom One group, because we got so large, and the meeting started exactly, and this is your key to you, it started exactly at 7:30 and ended exactly at 8:30 with no overtime. And you were definitely free to network afterwards, but those who had commitments to get to work by 9 o'clock needed to get to work by 9 o'clock. So you were dead on with those two things, but also the introductions. How do you handle introductions of 100 plus people in roughly 15 to 20 minutes?
Yeah. So it's interesting because when we first started Freedom One, Bruce, and when people would come, they would want to tell everybody that was in the group about every state they were licensed in and every license they had and every designation and every degree. And as you know, people really don't care about all that stuff. They just want to know how they can personally impact from yourself. So when people would first come and we got so large, we had to minimize the time that people could share what their company was and their impact. And we call it the 24/7. It's 24 words in 7 seconds. And that was really, really hard for some people. But Freedom One, our networking group, gave people the ability, the flexibility to try some different ways that they would introduce themselves. I just think with as many messages as we get today, people don't remember an elevator pitch, a minute, 30 seconds, even a minute, 30 seconds. We expect to get information in shorter pieces, and then it's got to be impactful. And then, Bruce, if we get it, if we like it, then we'll say, well, how do you do that? How can I get connected with you? Who would be your ideal client? Do you deal in Wisconsin? Could you service me in Wisconsin, or whatever it was? So when you have 100 people, you do the 24/7, 24 words, 7 seconds, and some people hated it. And actually what we did, you'll like this, Bruce, we had a timer, a big timer on our screen for those 7 seconds clicking down. And if you went over, the suggestion was that you'd put some money into a bucket to help that charity of the week or that charity for the month. And it forced a lot of people, Bruce, to get really good at communicating who they are and what was their impact.
Yep. And then we kind of built that off with these virtual meetings, because we're not really doing those 24/7s anymore, because the group is also divided into a business share and was it called the second part is your outreach?
The ultimate resource. So
ultimate resource.
The interesting part, when we started with Freedom One, we had the first half hour where we were doing the introductions. We had the chamber talk a little bit, and then we did the introductions. And then we were doing 2 business shares, one from 8 to 8:14, and then one from 8:15 to 8:27. And one time, somebody didn't show up for their business share, and Cody and I just looked at each other and said, well, let's just share some information. And for some people that were saying to themselves, I'm never going to sell my home, and that's my case because I have a handicapped son and it's set up for his specific needs, and it would take something unique to have me sell my house. So if a realtor gets up there and talks, I would say that's not for me because I'm not going to sell my house. But the ultimate resource is a way I can come to this community of profit-minded individuals and get some information and leave there filled up, so I can transfer that to my prospects, my clients, my patients, customers, whatever you happen to call the group that you work with. So yeah, the ultimate resources turned out to be a really, really big thing for us.
And then, hi, Norm. Great to see you here.
Hi, Norm.
And so, yeah, Norm has always been a great resource as well. And then we kind of evolved that from the 24/7, and now virtually we're still meeting exact 7:30, 8:30, but we also have time for breakout rooms since we're not doing the introductions as much. And we've kind of developed that into what you've developed is called a smoothie. I think it started off as calling smooth, but then we added the IE to it.
Yeah.
And since you came up with it, why don't you describe what the smoothie is?
Actually, so this is a joint brainchild of Cody Braun and I. Cody is the president of the Tranel Financial Group. And we were talking about meeting people where they are. Freedom One has always evolved based on business owners, the economy, the environment, how could people get together? And for us, going virtual was our community just getting together with where the mandate was, the state mandate for Illinois. We weren't going to physically get together. So we said, how do we get this community to feel like we're helping each other, we're growing each other? And so the 24/7 just didn't fit. So we came up with something called Smoothie. And the whole idea is when you go to your breakout rooms with 4 or 5 other entrepreneurs, how do you express to them in that 5 or 10 minute period of time what your ideal client is? And you use some part of so it's got to be simple, right? It's got to be real simple. It's got to be memorable, like snap it, get it, we got it. So for us at the Tranel Financial Group, our massive transformative purpose that we talk about in the friend economy, I'm sure you're going to get to, is to lead people to their ideal financial life. That's part of our billion-person impact. Lead 1 billion people to their ideal financial life. That's simple and memorable. And then we just go through the list. It gives somebody a template to go off of to have a conversation about their business and growing their business. I love the smoothie thing. It's just different. It's unique. You're going to come to Freedom One and you're going to give a smoothie.
And then it kind of evolve that 30-second pitch into something more dynamic and more better call to action and a better understanding of who you are and what you offer.
Yeah, the whole idea is that when you're in your breakout, if you do a good job on your smoothie, someone in your breakout room is going to say, how do you do that? Who would be a good customer? Could you come up to Wisconsin to my second home and do this, or whatever it happens? The whole idea is if it's a good smoothie, if it's memorable and it's very specific, somebody will ask some follow-up questions.
Which kind of develops into that friend economy part where it is talking about networking. And if I can't use your services today, I may know someone who does. And that is kind of the basics of customer referrals, but you take it a little bit further, a little bit deeper in the friend economy.
Yeah. So you want me to go into a little bit about the friend economy? Because in the book, The Friend Economy, I talk about Freedom One and some of the other communities that I put together. And the friend economy came from the economic downfall of 2008, 2009, where I felt as salespeople and as entrepreneurs and business owners, it was very, very important. You can't just sell your product anymore. You couldn't just sell your service. You couldn't have just a little bit better widget, because people weren't sticky for that. They couldn't afford to be sticky for that. And so I just had this conversation. Friends want to see other people they care about, their friends, be and stay wildly successful.
Yep.
And so the friend economy is not having clients or patients or customers. It's about having really good friends that care about you, that know you authentically. So in the friend economy, Bruce, I talk about putting a stake in the ground and just declaring who you were, whether it's your faith or your religion or your outlook on life or family or whatever it was, and just being really authentic and not worrying about who you're going to offend, because I think there's 10% of the world that's going to be offended about anything you said, and just be really authentic. And then that authenticity will attract people to come to you, and then they will become friends because you know that they care about you and you care about them because they truly understand who you are.
And this wasn't your first book, was it?
No, this was my first book. Yeah.
Okay.
This was my first one. And actually my favorite. I wrote Sunny Side Up was my second book.
Okay.
And Things I Wish I Knew Before I Retired was my third book. The second
I've got that here. Oops.
Yeah, Amazon bestsellers. The Friend Economy is not an Amazon bestseller, but I've sold more of those, but just not in the parameters of Amazon. But I just love the impact the Friend Economy's had just on helping people think through growing their business.
So how do you do that? Again, I think we started off with this question earlier was, so you come to the meeting, you come to a networking. How do you take that beyond the networking?
Yeah, it's the concept, the core is the same about getting connected with people, but on Zoom or Teams or Facebook, however you're doing the networking event, I find the mistake that some people are making is this: they're just clicking off, like the Zoom meeting's over and you just reach up and you hit end meeting or whatever it is. But we have to be really, really intentional about connecting with people afterwards, connecting with people in the chat. You've got to be so memorable that people want to connect with you, that when you connect with them afterwards, they remember who you are, right? So I think about in Zoom, I've seen some people's backdrops where they haven't been that positive or healthy. They look like they're meeting in their basement, it's dark, or they've got things that are important to them that might scare some people away. So the whole Zoom call's got to be positive. And then what you communicate has to be positive. You can't still be fighting with your iPad or your computer trying to figure out how to set it up. It's not April. You can't tell people you haven't shaven in, a month or whatever it happens to be, unless, Bruce, you're a handsome man like yourself and you naturally carry a beard well.
Well, I did shave.
You did shave.
And as I'm sure you did too.
I did this morning too. And then afterwards, you have to be really intentional about reaching out to people and scheduling calls. Actually, I have one today at 1:15 with a gentleman from Freedom One who I mentioned something that he was intrigued in. He reached out to me and I scheduled a half-hour call with him. I hope he asked me about my business, but I'm going to ask him about his business. We're going to go deep really fast. And then if something comes of it, maybe we'll meet in person with proper protocol, or we'll continue the conversation after that.
So we've got here's a comment from Norm. saying that it's important to develop strategic partners and referral partnerships through the friend economy technique. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And
Yeah.
I love that saying.
Yeah.
And then being authentic is critical.
Yeah. I mean,
And so part of your authenticity is fun, because these meetings have been fun. I've been there during Halloween, Christmas. What other things have we done there that have been out of the norm of a
well, St.
meeting?
Patrick's Day, Valentine's Day.
Do we still have you? Or is it me? I think we might have lost Roch. So we have him back in the stream. But again, we're talking about different ideas of networking and moving it beyond the in-person meetings or the program that you're in, the Zoom meeting. So scheduling time afterwards. Again, the idea is to build relationships inside the group. And what's really, really great about the Freedom One group is that it's a well-diversified group, and it's also non-political. I know there are a number of people across different political platforms in the group, but we're all working together as a community and not as individuals, which is also great about this friend economy, is that you're building off of friendships, even though you may have differing opinions. And Roch is back.
Hey, Bruce. Sorry about that.
At first, I thought it was me. Then, because my internet dropped out yesterday, totally, right in the middle of a live stream. Luckily, what's nice about this platform is that if the host dies, or I mean, if the signal dies, the stream goes on until you actually hit end broadcast. But
we were talking about fun. You know, the last word I was saying, we were talking about fun. I was talking about Valentine's Day. But as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, we're by ourselves sometimes. And to be in this community talking about growth, we also want to talk about growth and having a fun time as well. And so my thought is, when people wake up on Thursday at 7:15, 7:25, they want to be a part of Freedom One. They're looking for the fun, the jokes, the poking, the prodding, because that's what friends do, right? Bruce, if I did something goofy or something, you'd make fun of me for a little bit. And it's not like you're hurting me. It's like that's what especially guy friends do. We poke fun at each other from time to time. So fun is very important.
Yeah, and again, so I remember Cody had some interesting outfits, and I think we've actually posted those in the Facebook group. And speaking of the Facebook group, everybody who's watching this is invited to the meeting. They meet Thursday morning, 7:30 Central Time, because we're dealing with an international audience, stating that it is Central Time. So if you're in California, that is 5:30 a.m.
It's worth it, Bruce. Bruce, it's worth it to get up at 5:30 to see Cody and I at Freedom One.
Yep. And again, it is most of the information is cross-national, so that if you're across the country, you can still use the information. And again, since we are more virtual, your services, if you're licensed, is national.
Correct.
Our services as a video production company, I actually got a client from London last week, and dealing with the time difference. We're only 5 or 6 hour difference, so it isn't really hard for me to be at 9 o'clock my time is only like 2 o'clock their time.
Yeah.
Or 3 o'clock their time.
The information that we share, Bruce, in the ultimate resource is wisdom, and wisdom is timeless. Like that, this book was written in 2014, but if you think about it, people today need a community of people that care and love about them more today than they did in 2014. And so preparing for today, I was flipping through the book. making sure that it was back in my brain here. I'm like, this book could have been written today, and it would be just as powerful. So I really like the way you do that.
So let's see some of the other questions I had. While you're in AOL there for a second, I was talking about the diversity of the group.
Yeah.
And how we are non-political, and the fact that we all get along no matter what your political stance is, because we're business people. And I guess when I had Norm on, he had actually talked about the last thing you want to do is bring up religion, sex, and politics.
You want me to comment on that?
Sure, definitely.
Yeah. So I can't imagine inviting you and your beautiful bride over to my house and limiting the conversation because I'd be fearful of what you said. If we are really good friends, the friend economy, if we're really good friends, and I respect and appreciate the stake that you put in the ground for your life, and you respect mine, and we want to learn about each other, we would bring up sex, we would bring up religion, we would bring up politics, we would bring up the current events that were happening and how they related to our business and what have you. So yeah, I can appreciate where you'd want to be sensitive in the first meeting, not jamming some of your views down somebody else's throat. But if you came over to my house, Bruce, and it was Saturday night and it was 10 o'clock and I said, well, we better wrap up, I got to get up early for church, I wouldn't say, well, we got to get up early for this event that we dress up for and drive to on 176 in St. Mary's, but I can't mention what it is because I wouldn't want you to be offended. You'd be like, that's ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then you'd say, well, what church do you go to? Why do you really like that church? And I'd say, well, what church? You know, I think when you're connected with really good friends, it's okay to bring that stuff up and you respect each other. And I want to learn about you and you want to learn about us. One of the things that we've been very intentional about at Freedom One is being diverse. We want to see all different folks there that represent the world today and have them be a part of shaping our thinking and shaping our lives. We've been very, very intentional about being diverse. And we could do better, of course, but we've done pretty good.
Great. And I think I was going to put this in the chat to get your book. I actually set up a page on my website, which is bsvp.com/books, and I have your book on there. So if you want to order any one of your 3 books, it's on there.
Yeah, I tell you what, I'll just send them. If somebody puts however they connect with you, Bruce, I'll just send them a book. You send it to me, and I'll forward them one of the books that we have. They can just
we can do that. Let me just pull this up. So basically, you're on the Facebook. And so if you find Roch Tranel, and it's spelled ROCH, Tranel, and so you find Roch and just send him a DM
sure.
with the words "friend economy" in it.
And I'll send him the book. Well, it'll be on us. It'll be our treat.
Can I get a signed copy? I got a signed copy of this one.
Yes, isn't that awesome? I'll get you a signed copy, Bruce. Thank you very much. You know why I'm going to send you a signed copy?
Because I asked for it. Because we're friends.
We're friends. Did you come to the second Freedom One that we had?
I think so, because the very first one, I heard all through the network of our local chamber that it's a great group is getting together and you need to attend this. And I actually had a shoot that morning, so I couldn't attend it. Which I actually thought about blowing that off. It's like, well, I'll just send one of my other cameramen to shoot that, and I'll attend the meeting. But decided it was best because they asked for me, and so I committed to being there. But yeah, the second meeting, it was a great introduction. I met a lot of people, again, across a lot of different fields. Everything from photographers and videographers to real estate and lawyers, to also people who help you stop smoking.
Yeah.
It was a very unique group because sometimes you don't actually get those type of people in there. And there was people who are sales reps who just needed support, because a lot of these sales reps, they're one-on-one. They make 100 calls a day, and they're getting no's for answers. Yeah. And what this group actually gave them, and that's really what the friend economy is I can talk to you and you know somebody who needs my services, and then you can act as an introduction. Absolutely. And there are platforms like LinkedIn that kind of do that. But
I'm going to share a story with you really quick, if I can
okay.
interrupt Norm, since Norm has been popping on here. First of all, I want to, we only have 4 minutes. I've got to give a shout out to the GLMV Chamber of Commerce, because our local chamber, the Green Oaks, Libertyville, Mundelein, Vernon Hills Chambers, absolutely fantastic, and they've helped our group grow. And we love them, and we encourage you to get connected with the GLMV. Norm Roth, one time, talking about the friend economy, he was having breakfast with somebody, and he said, you got to go meet with Roch. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you there. He took that person to our office. One of our advisors met with them. Norm waited in the lobby until the person got done with us and took them back to their car at the restaurant. That's a really good friend. Like, that says, this is so important for you to meet with Roch and his team, talking about your money, your investments, your wealth. I'm going to take you there, and I'm going to wait in the lobby to make sure you personally got taken care of. That's Norm Roth, first of all. So congratulations, Norm. But that's the friend economy. When you care so much, you not only refer them, but you make sure they get the introduction, or they get the service that's absolutely necessary.
And speaking of financial and planning and stuff like that, you've got some webinars and programs coming up in the next few weeks, right?
Yeah, we call them virtual classrooms because it's all done on Zoom. Only 17% of our clients are coming back to the office. The rest are meeting with Zoom. And so this week we have one on divorce. So if that's part of the complications of your life, we invite you to come to that. That Jennifer Merida is going to be speaking on divorce this week. And then next week's virtual classroom is just on low risk investing and how the election and post-election will play to your portfolio. So that'll be a really good one. They're good. They're just like this. You feel like you've learned something, it was time well spent, and you're going to walk away feeling more confident about your financial life. And
the information is on your website, which is Tranel Financial.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce. Yeah, just
they can sign up for that.
Yeah, connect with what makes sense for you, and we invite you to do that and become our friends. Excellent. Glad to be calling you a friend. Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Bruce. I do appreciate you and all that you're doing to grow people's businesses. This Facebook interaction is so important to all of us growing our businesses and getting connected. Great. Well, thank you. And we're going to just sign off. Why don't you stay there for a little bit, because what I'm going to do is, and I need to put up this banner here. And if you look over here on the side, we're going to have a link to the Tranel YouTube channel and my YouTube channel here, and then some suggested videos over there. Awesome. So thank you for tuning in to BSVP On Site. Have a great week, and we look forward to seeing you next week.